need to do. So with that being said, I'm gonna say, hey, what's up? How y'all doing? Good evening, good evening, good evening. We've had some really good shows here lately, folks. I've gotten over what I call being so pissed that and so full of emotion that I can't really get through the material that I don't know. I've been exposing the show to some new people and just getting positive feedback here and there. Um, I asked my daughter to look at the show because if you remember, it was my daughter doing a show that she and another brother who talked me into doing this to begin with. My daughter says, "Well, Dad, it looked like you found your niche," but then she her criticism was, "But you like to talk." And to that, I said, when you do public speaking, when you talk to more than one person, sometimes you have to say it two or three times because sometimes you're like me, you may have some hearing impediments where you hear something and you're like, what is it? What did it say? But unfortunately, my show don't come with closed captioning, so I say it two or three times to make sure you got the point or drive it home, whatever the case may be. So it's about one past the half. I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes before I really get into the show, but I want to say if you've already here, go to my YouTube, sign up, subscribe, ring the bell, and more importantly, give me some positive feedback, give me some thumbs up. And even more important than that, share the show with some people. This is the kind of thing that should be going viral, not all of the foolishness out there. Even when I give you guys the lighter side of me, not always trying to sing on key or dance while I'm doing 60 or 70 miles an hour. It's just to give, I guess, my online persona some depth. I don't want you guys to see me because on Thursday nights I tend to be beating guys over the head, telling you what you need to do, how I feel about the situation, my analysis of what's going on, where we are, and so forth and so on. As the young people have said since Cam Newton, this, that, and the third. Maybe he didn't start it, but I think he made it popular. So shout out, shout out, shout out. Other thing that kind of popped in my head, just nonsensical stuff. Um, I saw that Golden State had really made some strides at the ESPYS, the sports awards. I don't really do award shows. I wasn't even doing the night that Chris got slapped. I did the replay, but I don't do the shows. The shows to me are just too Hollywoodish, you know. But at the ESPYS, and I like to call him Lil Steph because he's playing a big man's game and he redefined how he wanted to play the game. He didn't play it like Nate Archibald. He didn't play it like Isaiah Thomas. He didn't even play it like Spud Webb. He came up with his own thing. After there was always someone to follow. There was Wilt, and then there was Kareem, and after Kareem, then there was Magic and Bird, and and then there was Michael, and then we got stuck. When there was a Michael, everybody wanted to be like Michael. Everybody wanted to go high flying and dunking basketballs, and I understand because Michael had this tremendous, what I say, ability to win, and that's necessary. But Steph played the game on his own terms, and he's been extremely successful. And we can measure success by the number of people that imitate us. So this portion of my podcast, I guess, is my sports broadcasting, prognosticating, talking heads. So shout out to the Golden State Warriors for winning. I supported them. The other thing is Steph got, I guess, the basketball player of the year award or something to that effect. And Klay Thompson got the most improved player, or comeback player, something to this effect. Like I said, I didn't watch the show, but I caught snippets of it. But the thing that it really impressed me is Klay Thompson, as he put it, he had this amazing life. His dad was Michael Thompson, who played with LA back in the day, and he was one of the centers, number four, number five guys that kind of backed up, Kareem and Paul, you know, Gasol and some of these other guys. So Michael Thompson was a good player, but like Steph bested his dad, Dale Curry, Klay Thompson has bested his dad, Michael Thompson. And when he accepted the award, he went up and he talked about this idyllic life, this spoiled life he had. And he said, with his dad being one of the announcers after he retired of the Lakers, he got a chance to go to the games. And he says the thing that impressed him most was watching Kobe. And he said Kobe was always a class act. So he dedicated it to Kobe and Gianna. And the thing that kind of gets me, and I don't think it's out of disrespect. I think it's just out of people just don't want to think of this little girl losing her life so suddenly. So they talk about Kobe and giving a lot of honor to Kobe, but Mike, Mike's son Clay was very specific in first recognizing Kobe and Gianna and giving his well wishes to Vanessa and the Bryant family. So I thought it blew me away. Honestly, I didn't know Clay Thompson had that kind of humanity or depth. Unfortunately, in the sports world, and this is what I like about the Golden State Warriors, they tend to be very team focused. It's not about one person. It's truly about a team, and everybody gets a chance to shine. So, with that being said, we got seven past half. I'm gonna go ahead and start the show. I want to say good evening, welcome to the show. I want to, as always, I want to thank you guys for showing up this Thursday night. Where you at, YouTube? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Okay, I see a couple people. Um, come on in. Give me some thumbs up. Show me some love. Let's get this thing started. Let's get this party started, right? Want to say good evening. Welcome to the show. I want to, as always, start off the show by saying thank you, thank you, thank you. All of the things you could be doing on a Thursday night, you guys, for almost 3 years now, have decided to come here, support me, and be a part of this show. And for that, I am truly humbled. My name is Hank Batiste. My show is called OMITdaLOGIC. And with that, I said this shit makes no sense. But we try to make sense of it. We try to make it make sense. I'm your host tonight, and the voices in my head are laughing out loud at the irony that is Joe Biden. By the way, let's put out an APB called SOH. I think she's MIA. Okay, APB is what? All Points Bulletin. SOH is Speak of the House. And MIA means Nancy's missing in action. As I look at the events that led up to tonight, um, it impressed me enough to make this show. I say that we're sitting in the cockpit of a time machine rocket, if you will. Something reminiscent of the Michael J. Fox headed back to the future. But this future is whether it's going to be a Jim Crow 1955, whether it's going to be a Wild Wild West where guns rule the law of the land, 1865, when we were black, but we couldn't vote. We had no real civil rights, even though we were so-called free. It was after Juneteenth. It was after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. So black people and Native Americans, red people, were not even treated like second-class citizens. And when you start to think about it, Richard Pryor told a joke about, back in the days, black people getting bowl haircuts, trying to pretend that like they were Chinamen, is how he put it. Because the Chinese were brought to America as well, and they were equally treated badly. So we're sitting in the cockpit of this time machine, trying to decide what America we want to be. And again, I have to tell you this. We've got 110 days before the decision is made ultimately for us, by us, of the people, for the people, by the people. We be the people. So these last few months, and this last month in particular, we've got a glimpse of what could be and what will be. And I keep talking to you about this, that, and the other. So we got 110 days, people. I've talked to you about putting things in perspective. I've talked to you about being inundated and overwhelmed with all of this because I know it acts on you. I know it plays on your psyche. I know it plays on, your emotion. I know it plays on how we feel and what we do and so forth and so on. So I know all of that. I know what we're feeling. So we talked about that. I tried to get you through that. I tried to get you through it because getting you through it means I'm getting me through it as well. So in some ways, I've been trying to lead you to this place. For the last year, I've been doing everything from doing evaluations of our Speaker of the House, our President, our uh, Majority Leader in the Senate, and pro temp and Civics 101. And I've done everything humanly possible. I've reminded you that we are at a place where the Trump Republicans, under the leadership, and let's not get this twisted, the only reason that Donald Trump was successful was because there was a Mitch McConnell. Without a Mitch McConnell, there would have been no Donald Trump. So this was one person who was just satisfied with the microphone and the camera. Another person who had a maniacal vision for thrusting us back to a place where America is again ruled by white Anglo-Saxon men. Because when you look at it, they don't care about their women. The women are no more than things for them to play with. So let's call it for what it is. So Mitch McConnell had this grand scheme. And then you have to look at what Mitch is married to, or who Mitch is married to. I apologize. So here we are, folks. And the irony that has me laughing this week is the fact that Biden is now starting to do what I said he should have done a year ago. Manchin has been consistent and only caring about Manchin and using the excuse of inflation. Well, um, I beg to differ. As a matter of fact, I would argue that inflation is what it is because of the greed of Joe Manchin and those like him. So greed is not indicative of being a Trump Republican or a Democrat or a Republican or a conservative or a centrist or any of these labels that we use, progressive. Greed is indicative of and is as American as apple pie and baseball. When we start to say life, liberty, and the pursuit of, like I told you 1,000 times before, the original caption said life, liberty, and the pursuit of property. And it was changed to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I bring this up again because I saw a couple stories. And when we start to talk about gentrification and what have you, we know it's happening in most urban areas. But I guess somewhere during COVID, the rich really got richer. And some of those upper middle class folk started traveling to places other than the cold, started traveling to areas that were a little bit open, where the laws were a little more lax for COVID. And in doing so, they started buying property. And then they had the audacity to tell the Democrats, because remember, we've got Nancy and Paul Pelosi who have been buying up everything on Wall Street, including Disney, and sharing, I'm sure, a lot of this information with their friends, be it Barbara Streisand or whoever, all of these folks that was yelling for Nancy to be Speaker of the House. I'd be willing to bet you $100 to a winning lottery ticket that they're profiting from supporting Nancy. So all of those people had the audacity to impress on Biden that the way to control inflation was by raising interest rates. Now, explain to me how those folks who are teeter-tottering between have and have not, so they don't really have, they just have a little. And a lot of those folks during COVID, right after COVID, started qualifying for loans because interest rates were so low, because they wanted to infuse the economy. So they dropped interest rates so that we would buy. And then when we, the have nots, or the have a little, but not a lot, started to buy, they said, well, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. Now we got too many people pursuing property. It was bad enough that they took away our liberties. It was bad enough that they didn't do anything when these little knuckleheads, these cowards with AR-14s and 15s and body armor started to take our life. So they took our liberty by impacting our ability to vote. They impacted and they took our lives by making us so afraid. And some of us actually, be it Uvalde, be it Buffalo, be it Philly, be it some of these other places. And if I tried to name all of the places where mass murders have occurred, I'd be talking all night just about that alone. So they took our lives, they took our liberty, and now they're trying to take our pursuit of property, our happiness. And Biden has been teeter tottering back and forth on this seesaw, trying to be popular. Well, I said to Biden about a year ago that the only way to be successful in this current political climate is to keep your promise. And to do that, to be a leader, sometimes you have to go at it alone. And then people start to see your successes and follow you. There's some people going to follow you because they believe in the office. If I'm the director of operations, if I'm the CEO, there's certain people, be it the board of directors or my staff, that are going to support me because they feel the job is deserving of respect and support. There are others who are going to try to exploit the situation because they're jealous, because they see a chance for them to promote themselves or make money. So this is part of what we've been dealing with. And I said to Biden a year ago, you're going to have to go at it alone. It's more specifically, what I said is you're going to have to lead by executive order because there were too many warring factions and fractions within the Democratic Party itself in the upper echelons, that be Congress, that would not support you no matter what. So for a year, he allowed the mansion to play him like a yo-yo around the world and walking the dog. All of the things that we're old enough to remember with a Duncan yo-yo. And now this past week, after Manchin again decided to blow up his plan for cleaning up the air, after we had these record high temperatures, and me in particular, this has been the wettest July. I've been in Florida for 4 years now, almost 4 years. And this has been the wettest July and the driest April, May. And I'm right on the damn ocean. What I was given in science class is water evaporates, accumulates in the clouds, and it forms rain. So, how is it in a state like Florida where we're so close to the equator? And I know I'm all over, folks, but it's all connected. How has this been so dry in April and May and so wet in July? So Biden is trying to take control and deal with this thing called global warming. In some ill-fated, better late than never, in his mind, someone has whispered, America, your numbers are going to go up. If you follow your original vision for America, your popularity of going more cohesiveness and unity, because now they realize the people are following. Listen to me. The first 100 days, he was successful because why? He had momentum. Everybody wanted to see the reversal of Despicable Donnie on all his oppressive. It's a waste. For the first 100 days, Joe Biden led by executive order. He didn't wait on Congress to get off his ass and say, "We're behind you, Mr. President." He did. Well, if I establish your hours and you don't show up at said hours, then you're not working with me. So this train is going to leave the station without you. We're sitting in the cockpit, and I'm wondering who's at the helm? Who's flying this thing? Who's driving this thing? What's the direction? So if Biden had done what I said to do a year, I would assume, I would deduce, I would conclude that we would have more Democratic states, more Democratic governors. If we had the leadership in the House doing what he do, and they said, hold up, hold up, hold up. We need to come up with a strategy to counteract this. Because right now the strategy is people from Congress going in and being arrested in front of the Supreme Court. Like somehow that's going to change the minds of the likes of Clarence Thomas. The time to act, the time to act was when these people were being confirmed. And you say this person has always walked like a duck, quacked like a duck, had a bill. It's certainly not time to show civil disobedience. That was the time to show leadership. That was the time to come together as a political unit with the resources and the power to fight this before it was a foregone conclusion. So if Biden had done some of these things, then America would have been screaming. They would have had the backing of. Sometimes you, as a leader, you don't play for likes. It's not necessary that you like me, but you will do. Plain and simple. So had Biden done those things, that would have been an outcome. Maybe it's too little, too late. But maybe now the striking while this iron, this proverbial iron is steaming hot. You have a chance in the next 110 days to win that proverbial soul of America that you talked about on a campaign trail. You have an opportunity to lead by executive order and get the support of America behind you when you start to show these successes, when you start to show that you care about things. And okay, I'm not going to go off on a tangent. But last week I realized that I tell you these stories because I want to strike a chord with you. I want to make sure that you understand the things that I can't take for granted. I want you to understand that you are not powerless. I want you to understand that it's not about just getting on your knees and saying, well, God is in control. I want you to understand when I say God gives us the power of choice. So no matter who you pray to or what you believe in, you still have to act. He had done those things, but now we got 110 days. America has a very, 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 very short memory. So if we start hitting now and we come up with a plan, Nancy, are you listening? Chuck, are you listening? AOC, Bernie, Becky Warren, if you guys are listening, we need a one plan. And that plan is to not just keep a majority, but increase the majority. And all is not lost because we can make it happen now. If we start to drive this, if we start to decide that we're not going to be in 1965, we're not going to be in 1865, we're not going to be in 1955, we're going to be, we're planning for 20, because the next presidential election is going to be in 24. And where do we want to be in 25? Is that too aggressive? Is that too lofty? Is that asking too much? So if we do this now, we might wind up being geniuses by accident. So Dems, Nancy, Joe, Chuck, if you're listening, America of the people, for the people, by the people, if you understand that, yes, I understand that we are still dealing with the lessons of two evils. Well, we've already had a glimpse of Mitch. And the thing that makes Mitch evil is he really believed that the ends justify the means. So he doesn't have a problem in supporting this maniacal, power-driven fascist by the name of Donald J. He doesn't have a problem in supporting this post-concussive nitwit. And I apologize to those folks who have the IQ of a true nitwit named Herschel Walker or this wife beater that he's supporting. But he made a deal. He was making a deal with Biden to put another federal judge, circuit court judge. And Biden was going to get something in return, so-called support. But the problem with that is Mitch McConnell is never going to follow through. Rand Paul was already screaming that Mitch McConnell was going to do it. So let's not go off 100 right now in the last 2 weeks of what our world will look like in November and January with no Roe v. Wade, with no police policies, with no John Lewis. So it is what it is. Joe Biden has to understand, like tonight's show, it is better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission.